Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of And JUSH Like That. I am so excited to be recording this. I am recording this a little late. If you don't know, the last couple days I have been at Disneyland, and this is my first full day home. I'm also working a little bit later, so I kind of just wanted to do a little bit of a different episode for us. But I wanted to do a little bit of a TV recap because come on. The namesake of the show, And Just Like That, just released a new episode this morning that I will be covering, as well as I will also be covering one of my new favorite shows, The Gilded Age, also on HBO Max, which we'll get into in just a second. I just wanted to come on and say hello, but let's get into it. All right, so let's get into the first review of the day. We will be talking about The Gilded Age, which is a brand new show on HBO Max. The Gilded Age is a historical drama television series created by Julian Fellowes. If you don't know who Julian Fellowes is, he created Downton Abbey, which I am a huge fan of, and I could even tell a really funny story about how when I saw the Downton Abbey movie in theaters, no one who I knew watched it, so I went by myself, and I went on opening night, so it was pretty packed, and I remember sitting there eating my large popcorn, and there's a portion of the movie where one of the characters kind of alludes to the fact that they won't be around much longer, and I started uncontrollably sobbing in the movie theater. It was so embarrassing. Like, I had people look at me like and be like, what the fuck what is she doing? Like, she's crazy. And to those people I say, what are you, a monster? Like, how did you not cry at that portion? So sorry, gonna have to cut this off. My dog is gonna start to itch. 1 second. And I am back. I realized that if you can hear her, I'm very sorry. I'm trying to keep her as quiet as possible. I will be purchasing new technology to actually have a mic and do all of that stuff very soon. I'm getting there. But let's get back into the discussion of The Gilded Age. So The Gilded Age is basically about that age in the United States history, which were kind of like the boom years in 1880s New York City. I am so excited because I guess that this show was originally announced for NBC back in 2018, but then later that year it was moved to HBO, which I am so glad about because personally I do not think that NBC would have been able to pull this off the way that HBO did. I just think that the show's great. One of my favorite Broadway musicals of all time because of the orchestrations is Ragtime, and the show is in The Gilded Age as well as Ragtime. It's just so stunning, so great, such a wonderful cast, by the way, which we will get into in just 1 second. But let me open my notes and let's get into it. Okay, my first initial thought about this show was what a wonderful cast this was. So I'm a pretty big theater kid, as many people may know, and I was like, in my mind, like screaming because not only Audra McDonald is in this, but Christine Baranski's in it, Danae Benton is in it, Cynthia Nixon, which we will be talking about her a lot this episode. Come on, Donna Murphy, Kelly O'Hara, like, they made this for the musical theater girlies. They made it for the girls who started musical theater as a little closeted gay boy and are now thriving trans women. This show is just amazing. And come on, like, from the first scene in this show, I was blown away by the cinematography. It is on like another echelon. I don't know how to explain it other than like, holy crap, this show is absolutely beautiful to watch. The costumes, like, I would love everyone to go watch this show just to like look at the costumes. The budget that they gave this is just, it's so nice to see because I feel like with so many period pieces, especially with this time in American history, they're few and far between, and when they're done, they're kind of done cheesy. They're done for PBS. No shade to Downton Abbey, because wasn't Downton Abbey? I'm pretty sure Downton Abbey was on PBS or something like that. But it, like, oh my God, it's beautiful. I cannot tell you, so many times during the entire show, the entire hour and 20-minute runtime, which I did sit through last night, so I know you can too. I was audibly gasping. There was a specific scene where it was a pan in from the ocean to go up to a house on the hill. Beautiful. Characters are beautiful. I love how it's kind of it's like a balance between like old New York and new New York. So it's all of like the new money coming in, trying to kind of overthrow that old money. I really like how we're using a lot of historical representation. Whether or not any of it is accurate, I couldn't tell you. But guess what? When I hear a Roosevelt, I know who we're talking about. And when I hear an Astor, I know who we're talking about. Stuff like that. And it's just like, come on, it's a great show. And me and Ronnie, my executive producer, also the person featured on this podcast many a times, we are Cynthia Nixon and Christine Baranski in this show. Oh my gosh. It's so funny because it's literally both of us just like going back and forth constantly. I love the dynamics. I love how they have their niece, whose father had passed away, so she's living with them. I could totally tell that she's going to get into some crazy old drama. I could totally tell that she's going to fall in love with the cute guy. It's just such a good show, and I really hope that everyone watches it, because like when you watch it, it feels like you're watching a movie almost. Like everything is just like geniusly done. The costumes, like I'm not kidding, like with the scenery and the sets, I was audibly gasping. And I love how people are going to listen to this part of the podcast and be like, what are you saying, girl? You are just repeating the same 4 notes over and over again. And guess what? I am. And you're just going to have to take it, because it's like, come on. I love how it's old New York versus new New York, but the old New York is literally like pre-revolution New York. Like, because I don't know. It's just like, I feel like we've never really had a show like this depicting this era of United States history, when like things were starting to hit the fan. I feel like, I mean, everything from the beginning, United States history shit has been hitting the fan, but I don't know. It's so good. It's basically like Real Housewives, but like in the Gilded Age. It's amazing. It's great. I highly recommend it. I believe new episodes are every Monday on HBO. I personally watch on HBO Max because, you know, I'm a girly who does not like cable. But yeah, that is what I feel about The Gilded Age. Please tune in. Please watch it with me. Please tell me your thoughts if you have. But let's get into the reason why you are all really here. And that is to recap and rejush, and just like that, episode 9. Episode 9 of And Just Like That. Oh my gosh, I am honestly a little sad that we only have one more episode left. From what I've seen right now, it really doesn't seem like they could just end the show. I feel like nothing has really happened. I don't know. I feel like we could easily get another, say 10 episodes. Like, I feel like we could do another 20 episode season and I would be happy. I really don't understand why this show has such a grasp on me. I can't look away. I really want to hate this show, but I honestly just can't. Like, it's because I love these characters. I love everyone. But is anyone else a little sad that there's only one more episode of And Just Like That left? And from what I know, there wasn't any talks of having a season 2 yet, or that hasn't been announced. So we should all be writing to HBO Max and demanding that they bring back And Just Like That, and then they recast Che Diaz with me. But speaking of Che Diaz, let's get started with the episode. The episode begins with our girls, Carrie, Miranda, and Charlotte, at lunch, talking about their lives. I thought that this part was really cute. I really liked the conversation. I love these scenes because I feel like this is the one thing that the Sex and the City writers can get right, is the dialogue between these three characters. It makes you feel like you're watching Sex and the City. It makes you feel like you are really just, you're basking in the glory of what made the girls the girls. But it, of course, it soon loses its luster after that, because the next scene, Carrie's downstore neighbor, who we met a couple of episodes ago, maybe last episode, she has a terrible boyfriend. She likes to be loud. Her and her friends call Carrie ma'am. So she brings over this piece of jewelry for Carrie and was like, hey, like, I would love for you to wear this and take a picture on Snapchat with it because, oh my God, who'd they say? Oh, because ScarJo posted it and I got a bunch of sales. And I'm like, you think that Carrie Bradshaw is selling? Like, I'm like, is this girl delusional? Like, does she think that Carrie Bradshaw is as famous as ScarJo, as the Black Panther? I mean, I would argue that I think that Sarah Jessica Parker, but I'm like, sex columnist Carrie Bradshaw, who's in a podcast called And Just Like That. Listen, no. What is this podcast called? XY&Me. Oh my God. And then when she said that she loves Carrie's podcast, or she's obsessed with it, who is obsessed with it? I don't really like this neighbor, especially now that, oh God, like, especially now that she loves and that new podcast. I can't stand her. She's now on the bottom of the totem pole. Don't like her. Don't trust her. There's something wrong about this girl. And I also don't like how her character is basically used to be like, look at Carrie, how much fun you can have if you were like wanting to be single. And I'm just like, I'm so tired. This entire show is just every single person going, oh, that would be fun. But don't I look good for being 55? Like, I don't get this. And I'm just like, can we just get past Big's death? He's dead. Let's accept the fate. So much time has gone by in this show. I just feel like there's a lot of loose ends, and I don't know how we're going to close them up in one episode. Next scene. We needed a trigger warning. I needed a trigger warning. This was scary. It was a date. It was Che Diaz and Miranda. See, I'm yawning at this part because it bored me. Che and Miranda were on a date, and as they're talking, as they're chatting, two girls who are sitting at the bar in like a diner walk over to them and like, oh, we're such big fans, yada yada yada. Miranda introduces herself as the girlfriend, which was a little awkward, but also I'm like, what do you expect? Miranda, at the end of the day, isn't, a newly lesbian, or I don't even know. I don't think that there's a title, but newly opened her sexuality open to more than one gender. And so she doesn't really know those gender roles in this relationship yet. Anyways, the girls who want to take a picture with Che Diaz, started talking to Che and was like, oh, you had sex with this person, you had sex with this person, blah, 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 and then you could see Miranda do that, like, like, I don't know, you know how she does, and I was like, oh, yeah, don't be surprised, Miranda, like, mix, what? I was trying to use the gender neutral term for Mr. and Mrs. and I forgot what it was, so I'm just going to skip over that. Che over here likes to get around and likes to have fun. But I loved the compliment that Miranda gave Che when Miranda was like, oh, like, whatever gender non-conforming compliment I can give you, ha ha ha, because it's like she says stuff like this, but then later in the episode is like kind of understanding of a different issue. So I'm just confused about how educated our girl Miranda actually is, because it really goes back and forth depending on what the plot needs her to do, and I don't necessarily like that about this show. But something I do like about this show, something that I'm like, you could just give us just give us a spinoff and I will just watch this character and this character alone. Seema. So Seema and Carrie go out clubbing because it's Seema's birthday. But whatever Seema was wearing in that scene was awful. They needed to fire that stylist. Seema looked so old. Like, the broad shoulder. No, it was not a good look. I love Seema. I feel like Seema is actually, I'm going to make the argument. Seema is the best addition to the Sex and the City multiverse. Since Samantha. I love her. And yeah, I just like, and then when they couldn't get into the club, I was like, yeah, because you look like old lady. Like not to be rude or not to be ageist, but it's like, yeah, you're going to this really hip club and of course they're not going to let you in. You kind of look a mess. You know what I mean? Like not a mess. Like you look great, but you look great like you're going to the, like you're going to a nice dinner with your girlfriend. You don't look like you're going to a club. Because, I don't know, it was just a little dated for me. It was a little aged. And I know that those girls are very youthful and can pull off multiple silhouettes and multiple styles. And I think that they should have just done that better, personally. The next scene was Charlotte's dinner, where she has to teach Lily how to put in a tampon. So, as hopefully everyone listening to this knows, I am a trans person, so I never had to deal with this. So, I don't know, maybe for my cis girls, this was something that y'all enjoyed. Maybe you had this moment. I did not have this moment, so I thought it was cute, but I'm like, when is enough enough? Like, when does Harry have to just not mention his age? It was whatever. I kind of don't like how Mario is like, oh my God, wait. When Mario brought his date, and his date happened to be a Holocaust denier, why? Like, why did we need that? Why did Michael Patrick King and Darren Star say, you know what we need? We need to throw in a Holocaust denier joke. Because it was such a quick throwaway. It was such a nothing. Like, I wish that if they were using these small cameos for these actors, I wish that we would get, like, cool actors, you know? Like, maybe, I don't know, like, maybe a notable actor, because I was just, like, so, like, why did we have to do this? And then, like, the whole, like, get out, like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know, it just didn't make sense. I just felt like it was so rushed, and it was such, like, a quick joke, but it was not funny, and it honestly just was not the vibe at all for me. I did not like that. Another scene that I did not like is when Miranda popped up to Che Diaz's house as they're writing jokes, but I'm like, are they really writing jokes, or are they, or are they writing a TED Talk that just says, if you could check a box? Because I've never once laughed at anything that Che Diaz has said. Not once. I don't know why that they're the only comic out there in New York, like the only queer comic in New York City. I'm like, I know that there's more. And I wish that we could see them, because I really cannot handle this right now. But so Che Diaz gets mad at Miranda for surprising them at their door with their favorite cookies, and they have this whole moment where Miranda's like, oh, sorry, I don't really understand gender roles because I'm very traditional, and Che is like, I'm not traditional, yada yada yada. So the more and more I watch, the more I just go like, why are we in a relation? Like, why are we seeing each other? Why are we getting why are we going to those stages if it's just, like, not there? Like, I don't know. It's just, at first, I was kind of living for it, but now, I don't think I can watch another episode with Che Diaz, because it's just so incredibly cringy. And then, for the last scene, they started painting, so for Professor Naya, Wallace, and Miranda, they were working on this nonprofit where they're, like, rebuilding this home in Brooklyn, or repainting, whatever. So of course all the girls show up to help. And one thing I did like is, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, when Miranda was like, oh, Carrie, you can't just be the white woman that sends a check and not does the work. I liked that. I did really like that. But then, I don't know. I wish we saw them working a little bit more instead of just like getting angry. I, Come on. We've all known this. We've all known this. I'm looking back at my notes. We all know that Steve is way too good for Miranda. Yet again, he is so gracious, so loving, just wants to be there for her. And for what? For her to date the most unfunny, gender nonconforming comic in New York City. Like, Miranda had to pick the most annoying option, the most nuclear option to come out. It's so annoying. Justice for Steve. Justice for Steve. Steve, if you're listening, call me. I will be the best stepmother to Brady ever. But I will not be as sex positive, because that crosses a line, that there's a lack of respect for Brady right now, and I'm getting a little angry at him. And I love the new girls. I at first I wasn't really living for Lisa Todd Wexler or Naya, just because I felt like they were kind of just thrust upon us. Same with Seema a little bit, but then Seema really found her footing early. But after this episode, oh, I'm sold. I don't care about Carrie and her friends. I only want to know Naya, Lisa, and Seema. Like, they don't even have to be friends either. Like, I could just follow each of their lives and I would love it. Because Naya's husband is so cute this episode. When he was watching Lisa Todd Wexler's husband and their kids paint, he, like, oh my God, it just really warmed my heart and it made me a little emotional because he was just sitting there longing for a child. But he should have gone back in the closet and changed, because what was that blue hat? I really wasn't a fan of it. It didn't look good. I didn't understand why he needed it. Maybe it is this, maybe it is that, but guess what? I personally did not care, because again, at the end of the day, there's only a couple characters who I care about, and of the newbies, Seema is the GOAT. So the scene cuts to Seema sitting at a couple tables and chairs with a cigarette in her hand, like a lit cigarette between her fingers. She's scrolling her phone and has a coffee, and she's just sitting there enjoying, because she's waiting for Carrie to be done painting the house. And I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious. I love her. She is such a mood. Of course, cigarette smoking, I don't condone it, but it was just stunning. It was such a refreshing, like, vision to see. And then, of course, she makes an in with a club owner, and then the show ends with, and just like that, I could dance again, or whatever she said. But oh my God, Seema. I want a spinoff called Seema in the City. It could literally be like a $1 Million Listing mockumentary where she just like sells houses. Like, I don't know. I just want more Seema on my screen. I think that character's a genius. I love her. I feel like she is our Samantha without having to be our Samantha. And I love, okay, wait, actually, I love, I just wanted to finish out talking about Sex and the City. Actually, no, I'm not ending it on that negative note. I am ending it on Seema is the GOAT. She is everything. If you're not a Rexar, get off my damn live. Like, if you're not a Seema stan, what should we call them? Seema stans. Seam stans? Oh my God, we should call us Seamen. We are Seamen. I am a Seaman. I love Seema. Let's see more of her. Let's hope that we get renewed for a couple more episodes, because I feel like, or just give us like an hour and a half next episode. Like, give it a full movie, because I really don't know where we're going from here. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go take a little break, and when I come back, I want to actually end this portion of the episode talking about some predictions I have for season 2 of And Just Like That. Anyways, let's get into it. Mwah. Okay, so I actually just wrote down a couple of instant predictions I had for how I think that season 1 of And Just Like That is going to end. And I think that And Just Like That is going to end where Professor Nia Wallace will either get pregnant or adopt, and it will be this whole gracious story. We'll have like a good track. I think that maybe they'll even get a Beyonce track to play. Like, I think that they're gonna go all out for the music choice for this episode, or for that specific part of the episode. I think that Charlotte, we will find a new job or something to give her a new purpose now that her children have kind of outgrown her. I think that maybe Charlotte will start to really understand Rock as a person, and not as their daughter, but as their child. I think that Miranda and Che will realize that they are not for each other very dramatically, where Miranda does her like, ah, ah, like I keep doing that that really annoying impression, but like if you saw my face, you'd know what I was doing. Also, my dog is coming surprisingly close to my mic, so I'm very sorry if you can hear her. So I think that Miranda and Che will realize that they're really just not for each other, and Miranda's gonna have to cripple with the fact that she kind of just ruined her family a little bit, and she will set on a journey of real self-discovery where her and Steve kind of learn how to live not with each other maybe, but like, I don't know, in tandem, while they both, live out their best lives. And I think the episode will end, and if I get this right, I'm going to be so happy. I think that this episode will end where Carrie will either go on the date with the teacher or something like that, but the episode will end with a line similar to this. And just like that, there was sex in the city after all, or something, or again, or something like that. And it'll be like a zoom out shot of her either partying with the girls, or at a date with the teacher guy, or she'll either be dancing with the girls, eating with the girls, or on a date with the teacher. And it's going to be this whole thing kind of, just really prepping us for season 2 of everyone refinding Sex in the City, which I feel like should have been the main obstacle of this season. Because we shouldn't have to have a whole prelude to how we actually have Sex in the City. But anyways, that is my recap for And Just Like That, episode 9. I will be covering the finale next week. So let's everyone make sure to tune in, make sure to give me your thoughts, but let's go ahead and close out this episode. This episode, I kind of want to close out by talking about what's on my pop culture radar this week. So really, this week has kind of been filled with just a couple of things. I've been watching Boba Fett, which I need to watch the new episode out today. Out yesterday. I've been watching this new show on HBO Max called Someone Somewhere. It's a beautiful show about someone really trying to refine themselves and kind of finding a light in their dark small town that they never thought that they would, with a newfound friendship that really opens up her mind. I love that show. And also, Light Switch by Charlie Puth. Okay, I was driving home from Target last night, and that song came on the radio because for some reason my phone wasn't connected and I didn't care. I wanted to listen to the radio. And I was very surprised by it. I think, I'm going to make another prediction. I think that Light Switch by Charlie Puth is going to be the song of the summer. I think it is going to be a extremely, extremely successful popular pop song, because that's what it is. It is a pop song. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to this episode of And Just Like That. If you enjoyed what you listened to, or even if you didn't, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, rate, anything that you can do to just push us over that edge. I would really appreciate. I really couldn't do this without you. A full episode will hopefully be coming shortly. If it doesn't, I will go ahead and see you again next Thursday. Have a great day. Bye-bye.